Welcome to the James and Heather Show. I'm Heather Dawn.
And I'm James Guay. We're here dishing out sex, love, and relationship advice. Well, and what's key here is there's a difference between loneliness versus being alone.
Very much so.
Right.
Very much so. Both James and I loved that quote. Being alone, here it is a state of being.
Love it.
Where loneliness is of the mind.
Exactly. Yeah. So again, loneliness is really more about this longing for something or someone that's missing. So it can happen in terms of like if you've had a relationship breakup, if you're feeling like
divorce,
disconnected, divorce, those kinds of things. Moving, exactly.
Moving, isolation leads to loneliness. A lot of it is also genetic, believe it or not. There's a genetic predisposition to people feeling a sense of loneliness.
Yes.
Which whatchamacallit, you would mention depression, right? Those chemical influences.
Yeah, often when people are depressed, they're more isolated, they're less likely to reach out for support, but it's the very thing that they need to do in order to feel better.
And the perception of being alone or lonely.
Yeah.
Your perception has a lot to do with this. Again, outside of having a chemical imbalance, which could make you feel lonely more often than someone who doesn't, you know, how you perceive your life as being lonely or connected is really important. And perception, again, unless we're dealing with a chemical imbalance, is very much in our control.
And it's interesting to note that you can be lonely whether you're in a primary relationship or whether you're single. It's really, again, it's this state of mind.
Yes. And guys, loneliness is contagious.
Be careful.
So, it's like a disease.
Yeah.
52% of the population can be affected.
Yeah.
If you're hanging out with someone who's always feeling alone and lonely and woe is me all the time, you can actually start to pick up on that. And so you do need to be careful about whom you spend your time with, assuming that that's under their control.
Well, and either, you know, shake it off or, you know, be also hanging out with people who are feeling less lonely or more happy, those kinds of things.
Exactly, and self-esteem also has a lot to do with you know, loneliness. And it's interesting because when we take a look now at being alone, alone is actually a really healthy state of being.
Exactly. Yeah, we often need it just to sort of replenish, you know, find a sense of creativity, just to kind of deplug from the craziness of life that can be there.
And believe it or not, the elderly have an easier time with being alone than the youth do.
Right.
And that's because they've had more practice in life. They have memories that they can reflect upon and hobbies. The stakes are lower, you know, in their existence.
And you know, with people who are a little bit younger, there can also be this constant need for reinforcement, for validation, approval, social media, you know, lots and lots of distractions so that there isn't time to just practice being alone, being in our own skin, and really enjoying that.
Yeah, and being alone, guys, is inevitable. At some point, you're going to be without your partner. At some point, you're going to lose your partner. At some point, you're going to find yourself on a trip or whatever it else is. And so learning how to be alone, you can learn how to do all these wonderful things and hobbies and creativity and self-introspection. A lot of beautiful things can happen with being alone.
And that is regardless of whether you're an introvert, an extrovert, or otherwise, because we all need time to just rest, relax, and recharge.